Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Yolan, Project Manager at 2M Corp. So, briefly, we'll just talk about the work we've been doing with openIMIS and the integration between openIMIS and MojaLoop. So, so briefly, I'll just introduce 2M Corp. It might be new to some people, but 2M Corp is just a software solution firm. We specialize mainly in software development and data analytics. But our introduction to openIMIS started with the older version of openIMIS when we had to adapt that to cash disbursement application. That's how we got introduced to openIMIS. So from there, I'll just talk about MojaLoop a bit. I know the guys from MojaLoop are here, so they can elaborate on who they are and what they do. But during this research or working with trying to integrate openIMIS with the payment platform, we looked at it from the idea of a cash disbursement application because that's how we got introduced to openIMIS, and that is the approach that we've been trying to take, customizing the openIMIS application into a social protection or kind of software. So we've implemented this initially with the legacy application, and now we're doing it with the modular application. So from there, that we got the idea that we can actually integrate this with a switch that could be used for cash disbursement in the case of uh, let's say banks, using banks or other financial service providers for distribution of cash. So that's how we came across MojaLoop, and I think it would be fair to say that we were one of the pioneer partners that brought the idea of MojaLoop into the discussion when it came to openIMIS. So initially, our proposed application or approach to the application was to build an adapter sitting between openIMIS and MojaLoop that would take invoices coming from openIMIS and use the switch that is MojaLoop to route the payments to the different financial service providers of the insurees that are connected or that are registered on the openIMIS platform. And we will later on in my presentation, I'll look at some of the use cases where this would be beneficial. So this was our initial proposed system architecture. So the openIMIS application will send invoices through the openIMIS, through our openIMIS adapters, and this the hub, the MojaLoop hub will do its work and route the payments to payment instructions to the person that is supposed to pay, the payer, and then when this instruction is given, the payee will receive the amount that they are supposed to receive. So this is one scenario. So some of the on the use cases perspective, we'll have one scenario which is with the insurance platform currently, the monthly contributions. The insuree would register their financial service provider account here, and using that account information, they will be able to make payments directly into the scheme for their monthly contribution through their mobile devices or their banking applications. Another scenario would have been the claims payment. So suppose an insuree goes to the hospital, they have incurred certain amount of charges, and the claims are made by the hospital to the insurance uh, service provider. Then the claims can be paid through the MojaLoop system using an account that is registered on MojaLoop. So this is another scenario. And this design basically explains the architecture that we were looking at. So, like I said initially on my discussion, the possible use cases where this can be beneficial is one, on the payment of contributions by insurees. Two, the payment of claims by insurance companies instead of having to have these payments be paid outside of the system. We were thinking of a wholesome system where the insurance company can just log in, review all the claims that have been made against them, and then pay it to the respective hospitals or claimies based on whatever amount or whatever amount that is being claimed for. So another scenario, which is the one that we are mostly interested in because that is the direction that we have been going with the openIMIS, is the caste disbursement in the case of social protection scenarios. So in our first initial implementation of the openIMIS platform, here we used the openIMIS and customized it to an application called the NAFA Quick, which was for the use of it was used for cash distribution during the COVID period to provide relief to people who were very poor or less privileged. So we thought if we were able to do this via a manual process, the payroll was generated and then the cash distribution was done manually, individually to the people. What if a scenario was such that everyone had everyone uses mobile phones, everyone had their mobile information or their mobile accounts stored into the system, and these cash transfers were done digitally through the system. So this is another possible use case for the this integration. Talk about the implementation approaches. Initially, our idea was to build an adapter that sits between MojaLoop and openIMIS, and a separate application that would connect these two systems together and route transactions from MojaLoop to openIMIS and vice versa. Another implementation approach that was discussed was to build an internal module within the openIMIS that would handle the transactions between openIMIS and MojaLoop, and that was finally what we were going with. But unfortunately, due to technical issues, we could not proceed with any implementation because there was we were not able to set up MojaLoop on time on our own, and it was also a bit of a struggle to set it up on a sandbox environment. So the initial sandbox environment that we were using, we were told was inadequate or insufficient for what we were trying to implement. So that is how we got in touch with the guys from MojaLoop and put them in contact with, or that's how the contact was created between MojaLoop and openIMIS. And now we have MojaLoop being part of this conversation and working towards achieving this as well. So lessons learned from the work we've been doing. One is just the importance of collaboration. Through having an idea, we didn't sit on it. We tried to do something about it. And then working with partners, we were able to get two separate entities that did not seem to have any relation initially to collaborate on this idea. And hopefully it will yield so many great benefits in the future. Working on this also gave us a better understanding of MojaLoop, because initially when we started, we had a basic idea of what MojaLoop was, but our understanding of it was limited. But having the guys from MojaLoop come on board also gave us a much wider perspective of an understanding of to what extent MojaLoop was able to do certain things. And we are also able to understand the openIMIS modular software better, because our initial implementation was done with the legacy software application. But working on this also gave us more insight on the details and the intricacies of the modular software platform. Currently, what we're doing with the modular application is we're porting our cash disbursement software from the legacy approach to the modular approach. So hopefully, when we're able to have this sandbox environment for MojaLoop set up, hopefully soon, we're very close, we would be able to work on this internal module within openIMIS to perform the integration as well. Uh, Thank you.